I've made 2 beautiful cards using Laura Graff's SBC Fest kit from the upcoming March SBC Fest. Hey everyone, it's Joy here and welcome to my channel. Okay, so this is what's in the kit. You have the heirloom pattern paper, and you guys, this pattern paper is gorgeous, and it's A2 size. This is what Laura Graff's kit is going to be. Then we have the stamp and coordinating die. You've got some rub-on transfers, and they are beautiful. Oh my goodness. And then you have this amazing die set here that gives you tons of flowers and leaves, and you've got some butterflies. Okay, so we're going to start with our first card, and I am using the rub-on transfers here, and I have a piece of vellum, and I love this oval wreath. I think it's stunning. So I'm going to center that in my onto my vellum, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine, and that's going to press it down and do all of the burnishing for you, which is really, really nice. I'm going to peel that back, and then we've got this gorgeous floral. Then I am going to take the smallest of the nested wavy ovals and place that in the center because I want that to die cut. I want to have the center open because we're going to lay this piece on that polka dot paper that you see there, and that is from that paper pad in the kit. So the nested wavy ovals are not part of the kit, but I did bring that in from my stash because I did want to create a wreath look by die cutting that out. Then I have die cut the flowers using some of the solid paper in that patterned paper from the kit. And I've got 3 flowers here, and a couple of them have some layers, which I really like. That gives your flowers some really nice dimension. And I'm going to get these glued together. And I just think, I don't know if I already said it, I think this is one of the prettiest kit that I've seen so far from SBC Fest. And that is coming up in March. I think it's the 13th, but don't hold me to it. But I'm pretty sure it's the 13th. I will have the link down below for this kit, of course, and for SBC Fest in general, because there's a lot of oh my gosh, great teachers. I did it last September in 2025. That was the second year I got to do it, and I just feel so blessed and I love it. So I'm excited that I get to even play around with some of these products. Okay, I am going to adhere down my 2 of these butterflies, and in that large die set, the small and large butterfly die cuts these guys out perfectly. So I'm going to use that and die cut out these 2 butterflies that we use the rub on for. And again, I ran them through my die cut machine, which burnished them beautifully. And then there's the little bodies, because the butterfly here is not going to cut out the bodies from the rub on transfers. So I'm going to have to use the coordinating body die for these butterflies off of that die set. And I'm going to die cut that from mixed media black cardstock from scrapbook.com. But at least we have the butterfly wings, and look at how beautiful that is. So here are the bodies. I'm going to glue those on really quick. And then I'm also going to be using the sentiment from the rub-on transfers. You get the same sentiments in the stamp set, which I think is fantastic, because once you run out of the rub-on transfers, unless you buy more, you have the stamp set that you can use, and you have a lot of the same sentiments. So I'm going to use the sentiment that says another beautiful year to treasure. And the word treasure is in gold, like gold foil looking on the sentiment. And I think that's so pretty. So here is some of the solid paper from the patterned paper pad. So I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. And then I can just peel off that top piece of the rub-on transfer. And I sped up the video, but I am peeling it back slowly. And then I'm going to trim this out with my paper trimmer. I'm going to get a nice long strip. And actually I'm going to leave it long, and I'm going to just add a little bit of tape runner on the ends, place that across the center, And then I'm going to use 1mm foam adhesive, and I'm going to hide it behind my sentiment and some of those floral images. Sorry, my head was in the way. Because you don't want to see, obviously, the foam adhesive through the vellum. And I'm doing 1mm because I still want to see the polka dots on this background paper through the vellum. You're going to see it through the center, and then you're going to see it through the vellum, and the vellum is just going to soften it a little bit. And I kind of like that two-tone look because I love a good polka dot. Oh my gosh, do I love a good polka dot. And these colors are so pretty. So I'm going to adhere that down. And so you can see here, you can see the polka dots on the outside, but they're very soft. And then I have 2mm and 1mm foam adhesive behind my flowers. And then we have the butterflies that we're going to put in place. And I think this card turned out so pretty. I did bend up the wings just a little bit, and then I will use some liquid glue to adhere both of those butterflies down. But I'm adding a little bit of glue on the stems there because they were just kind of sticking up a little bit wildly, and my tweezers wouldn't reach. So I just had to hold it down. Okay, so we're going to add this big butterfly here and that smaller butterfly at the top. So let me put that in place there, and then we can get on to our second card. Now this card is like light and airy. I think the second card's a little bit more dramatic. So I am using this frame die here from that large die set. I'm going to cut out, I want that pretty rose. I want to be able to see that. And then I am going to die cut the smaller frame. It gives you a little framed piece and the centerpiece. I want a gold mirror frame, so I'm using gold mirror cardstock because that's going to fit inside of this background floral piece nicely. Again, that is from the paper pad from the kit. And then I'm also going to die cut that same piece from white cardstock and layer those together, and that's going to give me a little bit of dimension. So let's glue those two together. This is going to be so pretty, and I love this. This shape is just stunning to me. And then look at that dark background. It's kind of a bluish color, and I think it's so pretty. So this again is a bit more of a dramatic card than the first one. So that's how that's going to look. I'm going to center that, and then I have the word hello. This is the die. This is the shadow piece. And there is a smaller piece in the die set that you can die cut out, but on the rub-on transfers, there's also that pink and gold foil hello. And in the stamp set and coordinating die, there's a coordinating die for this sentiment here, which I forgot at first. And then I ended up using it. I trimmed it out first, and then I ended up using it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot there's a coordinating die for this. I love how scrapbook.com does coordinating dies. You can find some totally for rub-on transfers, and I think it's fantastic. So I'm running that through my die cut machine, and I'm going to peel off the paper, and then I already trimmed it out, but I'm going to bring in that coordinating die and use that. Okay, so I'm going to tape that in place, making sure to not get the tape on the foil because that will make it come off. So what I should have done was die cut the sentiment first and then added the rub onto it. And I did that with the butterflies, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And then out of that large die set, I'm taking that shadow hello, and I'm going to die cut that. Now, it was hard to line up, and I did not line it up straight. So I would say die cut first, do the rub-on transfer after. But it worked out in the way that it looks like it has a pink shadow underneath it. So I didn't hate it, and I could still use it. But I was a little bummed, but totally not the end of the world. So again, I would die cut first like I did here with these butterflies, and then add the rub-on transfer after, because then you can line it up and see where everything goes. I think that is a better choice. So again, I die cut the smaller and the larger butterfly. And then I'm going to add these butterflies on top. I was just struggling to get it lined up. My fingers kept getting in the way. And then I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. But I still needed to burnish these after just a little bit. What I've noticed is if you have any of the rub-on transfer that hangs off the edge, don't lift it off of that edge because it'll lift it all the way off your cardstock. So lift it off of an edge that there's no hangover. So I just used my Pick Pro tool, the little plastic rectangular end, to burnish that, and anything that was left I just kind of wrapped around the cardstock. So really you can see I'm burnishing around the edges there. And then now we have our gorgeous butterflies. So for this card I wanted dark and dramatic. So I went with a lot of gold against the darker color patterned paper and the darker color paper for the background. So I cut out a bunch of these little gold butterflies. I think I may have used all of them, but it's totally perfect for this card. I'm going to add 1mm foam adhesive for our little centerpiece here. That hello sentiment, I die cut another piece from the white cardstock of the shadow piece just to give that a little thicker look. I am going to add foam adhesive behind it still because I did want it to be up a bit taller and I didn't want to die cut more pieces. So I'm going to glue those together, and then we can kind of get the rest of this card put together quickly. Okay, so now we have our sentiments here. We're going to pop that up with 2mm foam adhesive, and I'm going to center that in our frame here. And the same with that hello. So you can see it has that little bit of that pink shadow. It really did it perfectly. I would have preferred it to have been centered, but again, it's not the end of the world. So sometimes you can still use an oops. Okay, let me get that here at the top. Then what I wanted it to look like was the butterflies were going from the bottom to the top, from one corner to the next. So I have everything laid out. I have my little butterflies here, and I'm just going to burnish these down with my Pick Pro tool, and then I can just gently remove that top release paper. And that one's hanging off, and then the other three at the top, and then I can glue on our beautiful gold ones here. Tons of gold foil in this rub-on, these rub-on transfers, which I'm all for the gold, so I love it. And then let me add a little bit of liquid glue here, and these will be adhered to a white A2 size card base, which I'm happy to say scrapbook.com has card bases now, and I love it. Let's take a look at these up close. I think they're both beautiful. This is stunning. It's soft and it's pretty, and we have this oval frame and beautiful butterflies and a stunning sentiment. And then this one's just a bit more dramatic with the darker colors and then all of that shiny, shiny gold. I just cannot get over how much I love this kit. Again, this is Laura Graff's kit from the upcoming SBC Fest in March. Thank you guys so very much. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.